you'll be expected to explain the things and the details that you write out. You're not going to be just writing little facts. You need to explain those facts as you go through. So we'll talk about each topic of the essay, and the questions will be more specific tomorrow on the test, but there's 4 questions. And again, they're each worth 10 points. So let's start with the first one, which is strengths and weaknesses. We'll start. There we go. So, oh, it's thinking. I know, I heard that thing.
It happened in the Psych Max class.
Alright, let's start first with the strengths of the Articles of Confederation, because there was good things. Alright, what were some of the strengths that they found in the government while it was under the Articles of Confederation? Dev, give me one.
It governed the nation during the Revolutionary War.
Good. During the war. So it governed the nation during the war. That is the one thing it did. It made sure that we were able to have a government during the war. Hunter.
The national government could wage war.
Alright.
Instead of the states.
What else was a strength? Brendan?
The voting was based on the population.
Okay, do you think that was a strength?
No.
I don't know if that was necessarily a strength. Katie, you got one?
It passed the land ordinance of
Yeah.
1795.
Good. It passed the land ordinance. Do you remember what the land ordinance did? So if you write down that it passed the land ordinance, that's wonderful, but you need to know what the land ordinance was. What was the land ordinance? It's in that section, so our books are open for a reason to check it out. What is the land ordinance? Or use your notes. Dev?
Call for surveyors to take out 6 mile square plots.
Good. They staked out the plots out there in the west. What else was a strength? Matthew?
They passed the Northwest Ordinance. 1787.
Okay, and what did the Northwest Ordinance say? What was the Northwest Ordinance, Katie?
It described how the Northwest Territory was going to be governed.
Good. It described how that would be governed. There's another strength. Jacob?
Passed the Treaty of Paris.
Yes. They're not necessarily passed, they more negotiated it, actually. So these were the strengths of that form of government, that system of government that we had from 1776 to 1787. So it was an 11-year system of government we had, and those were the strengths. And it failed because there was quite a bit of weaknesses. What were some weaknesses in this? Abby?
They lacked to enforce laws.
Okay, lacked power to enforce laws. Alright. What else was a weakness, Leah? Good. Paige?
Lacked power to regulate trade among the states.
Braden?
They required all 13 states to approve changes in the articles.
All 13 states had to approve any changes that were to be made. So that was the weaknesses. Now looking at the taxes one, why was that a problem, being unable to levy taxes? Dev?
to make them go in debt.
Okay, they were having problems with debt, and what other problems was that causing? The debt and things like that with the taxes. There were some problems that were happening. What were different types of problems that the problem with taxes and debt led to, Abby?
Shays Rebellion.
Shays Rebellion. That was kind of almost like the final straw. Soldiers weren't getting paid, which would be that Virginia plan, and I'm going to be looking for you to not only know the framework, but then tell me about the Virginia plan. So let's talk about that. What was the Virginia plan, Matthew?
That it was supposed to have 3 branches.
Okay, so it had 3 branches of government, all right, which would, no one branch would become too powerful or more powerful than the other. What else, Austin? Tell me about, let's talk about the branches. What was one branch?
Legislative.
Okay, so you had the legislative branch, and what were the powers of the legislative branch? What did they do, Austin?
They created the laws.
They made the laws. All right, another branch, Paige. The executive branch. And what would the executive branch do, Nick?
Enforce the laws.
That would enforce the laws. And the third branch, Austin?
Judiciary.
The judiciary, the judicial branch, which would do what, Abby? Interpret, actually. And in today's government, the legislative branch is Congress, the executive is the president, the judicial is the Supreme Court. Okay, so those are your 3 branches. Well, not only did they have these 3 branches, but they talked about a legislative branch. What did they say the legislature would look like? What type of legislature would we have? Jacob?
We would have 2 houses.
2-house legislature. What word did we use for that? Do you remember the word that would be for 2 houses? You remember?
What did it start with?
Maxby. Yes, very good. A bicameral legislature. So in these 2 houses, these 2-house legislature, they said, for our 2-house legislature, in both houses, what would representation, what would it be based upon? Representation would be based on what, Matthew?
State population.
Yes. Okay, so if representation was based on population, which states really liked this plan a lot, Leah? The larger states. Who's coming? The larger states, that's a happy face. The larger states were happy about this. They liked it. Then they threw out the New Jersey plan, which satisfied the smaller states. They voted on which plan would be the framework. Boom, bam, the Virginia plan is the framework. But they continued to debate about that whole idea of representation, and they formed a smaller committee for the committee to come up with a compromise. And they came up with what compromise, Austin?
The Great Compromise.
The Great Compromise. So this will be the 3rd topic. What is the Great Compromise all about? It's also known as the Connecticut Compromise, so if you used that in there, I would give you credit for that. What was the Great Compromise all about, Nick?
It basically took it said that the voting for all the states would be based off I wrote it.
Okay.
Each state would have an equal number of votes in Senate, and that satisfied the smaller states.
Okay, so we'll stop there. I'm going to stop on that one. Senate would be equal representation. They would say 2 senators per state. That made the small states happy. Because they said, okay, yeah, thank you, that's what we like. That was the compromise for the small states, the equal representation. Today, that's still the same way because we have 2 senators in Iowa and there's 2 senators in California. What was the other part of the Great Compromise then, Abby?
The legislature would have two houses.
Yes, the two houses, right, but, okay, that's right, two houses. Senate is one house. What'd they say about the other house, Deb?
The House of Representatives would have representation according to state population.
Okay, so the House of Representatives is your other house, and that representation is based on population. Large states are satisfied. So everybody happy. Because we compromised, and that's what you have to do. The Constitution is completely about compromise. So everybody gets 2, and it doesn't matter how size you are, but in the representation, California has, what did we say? 53, and Iowa has
6, 5.
4.
Didn't we have 6 though?
We had 5. They had it, but well, with the last census, because our population went down, we went down. Yes. What do you have?
I said they allowed power to regulate trade and raise money by taxing.
Oh, yeah, you could add that. They, this is the main part of it, but yes, the other part did say about the power, a way to regulate trade. Good. That's good. You could have that as well. So they voted on this, and they said, yes, we pass it.
Do you know when the next census is anyway?
It's usually every 10 years. So it would be, I think it was 2010, 20. I don't know if it was, it's every 10 years usually they have a census. Do you want another one pretty quick? You want to be in charge of that one?
No.
Yeah. I don't think it's a very good job to have. All right, then you have to figure out who's lying and everything on their censuses. All right, 235. The last thing it has to do now. The Constitution has been signed. Oops. We have our group of Federalists, and we have our Anti-Federalists. Now this question is going to be more of an opinion question, but testing whether or not you understand what the Federalists and Anti-Federalists are. So what was a Federalist to begin with? What's a Federalist? Nick?
Someone who supported the Constitution.
Good. They support the Constitution. Why did they support the Constitution? Brett? Why did they support the Constitution? If you're on 235, that will help you. Matthew?
We proposed a single person to lead the executive branch.
What would that person, who's the person who leads the executive branch today? Dev? President. So they were happy with the idea of one leader of the executive branch. What else? Katie?
They like the idea of different branches of government.
Yep, they like the idea of dividing powers with the different branches. Okay, the legislature, executive, and judicial. What else? Leah?
They like to give more power to the national government.
Yep. More power was given to the national government. Some powers were taken away from the states. What else? Any others? Or was that it for what they believed in? That's it. All right. So they supported the Constitution. That's why they supported the Constitution. The Anti-Federalists, obviously, what did they believe? Who were they? Keegan?
People opposed the Constitution.
Yes. They opposed the Constitution, and why did they oppose the Constitution, Dev?
Wanted important for
They wanted the important powers with the states, not with the national government. Braden?
They feared that a strong executive might become a king or a tyrant.
They feared that executive leader would become a king. Jacob?
Wanted the Bill of Rights, protect people's rights.
They wanted a Bill of Rights added to the Constitution, which they got, by the way, that added. And is that it? Is there one more? Dev?
Wanted the legislative branch to have more power than the executive.
They wanted the legislative branch to be more powerful than the executive branch. That's why I put the greater than symbol, just to kind of shorten it. So sometimes when you take notes, it's okay to shorten things as long as you can understand it. Okay, so like I said, this one's going to be more of an opinion question, but you're going to need to know about them in order to answer the opinion question. So it'll be four questions, 10 points each. It's going to ask for a specific number of things. It's going to ask for details and things like that. So make sure you're studying when you study. Some people decided to pretend like they were actually writing an essay and wrote it out. That helps you to just continually write things instead of just staring at your notes. If you're writing, that really helps get things going in your brain. Austin?
Go back to the Great Compromise. I didn't get it.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Brennan? You're going to turn your notebooks in tomorrow, and in a second I'm going to put up on the board what should be in it. So if you want, you might want to flip back to your title page. Yeah.
What else would you miss on those?
Get them in there or else you lose points.
Yeah, how would you get them over there?
They're in the folder, the note folder. You got it, Austin, or not quite yet? Alright.